my testimony to convict him either. I mean, maybe they have a different opinion and they'll call me and want me to do it, and I will definitely do it if they ask me to. But they already have a solid case against Tom, you know, even just looking at Erika's 25 million, going into her LLC. How is Tom going to explain that? I mean, so him being, oh, I don't have all my wits about me. So the bookkeeper, stole the money, and that's why the victims didn't get their money. And that's why I left them voicemails lying about the money, making these outrageous reasons that only a sociopath could tell a victim. How is it? I feel like the $25 million, that went into Erika's LLC is so problematic for this case that I'm not sure a lot of other facts really need to sink in or even be told, because the victims were his clients. They didn't get their money. Those are facts. And Erika got 25 million. That seems like a problem. An average jury is just going to be like, they were 100% using this, his business to their benefit. And he's not gonna be able to blame enough on Kimon to get out of that. So
Right. And people have to understand the reason I'm questioning it too. I agree with you, is that we're choosing a jury that doesn't know about Erika and Tom and Beverly Hills. And I mean, they will have been living under a rock as far as this particular case. So they really aren't going to come in hating Tom the way everyone listening to this hates Tom, and most hate Erika and some don't hate her anymore. Like, they're going to come in literally with no preconceived notion about Erika Jayne or Tom, and probably not even going to get to know Erika because she's not even a part of this. So,
I mean, and if I were Tom and in his shoes and going into this trial, I'm just surprised. I'll be surprised if he doesn't do something outrageous in the courtroom to make himself look crazy or incompetent or whatever. It could backfire, certainly, but everything he's going to do from this point out is going to be for the jury to get. I mean, he just needs one person to not be willing to go along with everyone else and say, this is obvious this dude was stealing. And even though they're not going to get to know much of the evidence of the other cases, which seems crazy to me. I don't understand the judge's thinking. If he gets to blame it on Kimon, then they should get to rebut with all the other times he stole.
right. And then if he is, right, if one person sees him as a crazy old man who just lost his mind and he's free, then that's it. He goes back to this home free.
It's kind of like, when you're a kid and you played kickball or whatever, and you picked teams and you pretty much knew as soon as the teams were picked who was going to win. Remember that feeling? You just knew who had the better team. That's what's going to happen with this. Once the jury is picked, that's really going to decide who's going to win and who's not, because it's who are the people in the jury? Who are they? What's their background? What's their exposure and experience? How are they going to see the evidence? And who's going to be the foreman? Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to, have the greatest influence on the group? We're yet to see that. And that's why I love jury selection. I'm fascinated by it. You think about it like social media, it'd be randomly picking. And one of the things that the judge did on Friday that was so cool is she's allowing, and some judges don't allow this, and I think that's old school thinking. She's allowing both sides to be able to look at the jury's online imprint and use that in deliberating about who's going to make the jury. So they could use one of their, freebies. Each side gets, so many passes where they can say, we don't want, we object to that person being on the jury. So they can go dig into everything. And so they should hire a Bravo influencer who does the deep dives to dig into the jury, right? Because they find everything on them and they would know everything about them in 3 hours, right? maybe less.
These Bravo influencers, yes, will find it all. I was always picked last for kickball or any other sport. So I just stood there saying, please don't, like when I'm standing there and it's just me and nobody wants me, please let that just be 3 seconds today instead of 5 minutes. But thank you for the team reference. But I agree with all of that as well, that it is very, and I also love the fact that like this jury selection process says, do you listen to podcasts related to Bravo? What podcasts do you listen to? Like they mention the pod. They want to know. They want to know what. Do you know who Andy Cohen is? Like it's like they want to weed out the Bravo fanatics.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And they talked about it in court on Friday, that there would be people wanting to get on this jury because it's high profile. And you could later say, I was a juror on the Tom Girardi, trial. I mean, we all know with the way the internet is now, somebody could serve on a jury and end up being a social media influencer later because they served on the jury or something, or get a book deal or whatever. So I could see their reasoning and, mentioning to the judge that, hey, there are people who are going to be trying to get on this jury. The opposite, where everyone's trying to make an excuse that their dog ate their homework. We can't be on the jury today.
Keep them out. And I wonder if Tom is found guilty, will he see the inside of a jail, or will they say you are guilty and 85 and you can just go back and be.
They're going to remand him to custody. I do believe that if he does get convicted, he's going to get remanded to custody. I mean, come on, the judge has seen the semantics. He put off this trial for forever, trying to not ever have this day come, using a lot of semantics. And, this is typical what mob bosses do. They claim insanity or incompetence. There was one guy who like wore a bathrobe and slippers for like, I don't remember how many years, and walked around like he was nuts. And they finally caught him. He finally, blew his cover that he was out of his mind or whatever. And he did stand, trial. But that's what Tom's really done is, old school mob boss, let's get out of these criminal charges type stuff. This is not your average reaction to an indictment.
Right. So you think he might end up in jail if he's found guilty?
He could. I mean, he's 85 though. So how long is he really going to spend in there? I mean, at the end of the day, Tom spent his entire adult life rolling in money, sleeping with lots of women, being the peacock of the LA legal community, and, going on yachts and private planes and throwing Super Bowl parties that women weren't allowed to be at unless they were working the party, and so on and so forth, and buying $750,000 earrings for the wife. I mean, that's the life he lived. He's not going to have much punishment at the end of the day.
And so that's the thing. Like, do you feel any justice? Like, do the victims feel any justice in the sense that, like, for the man that did that, that was at the Jonathan Club? I mean, his whole thing was hot wife while I'm still having affairs, RHOBH, Jonathan Club. Like, I mean, is he already in jail that you are a disgraced, disbarred attorney? I'm not saying that that's enough for you and the victims, but like, I mean, he's already in probably his personal jail. No, like, I don't care what people think about me. So that's not a thing Tom did.
He cared very much about what people thought about him. That's the thing that actually motivated him, was
Right.
to be the good guy, to be the hero, and all that type of stuff. And so, yeah, he's in his own personal hell and has been for a number of years. That's why he looks like shit, because he feels like what people think about him. And he fed off of that, off of, being the good guy. And knowing that about him, was one of the reasons why I was able to get him to, pay the Ragomez's back at least some of their money.